let's get the show on the road, as they say. I'm gonna share my PowerPoint. I found some pretty cool these templates on slidego.com. So if anybody's interested in making really cool presentations, boom, look at that. That's so cool, man. I didn't make any of this, but somebody made this on PowerPoint. Wonderful. So welcome. This is week 11. Hopefully you're all barely survived your midterms and still, I heard people are still doing some of their midterms. Sorry. Yeah, hope everyone is doing well. I received almost all of your essays. I think there's just one student, I won't name her or him or it. But yeah, most of you guys did a good job, and the ones that I've looked at so far, you followed those prompts really well. I'm going to say my mistake is that, I didn't realize that this should have been around 600 words. It's just naturally came out that way. And I'll give you an example from my own example, right? So we're just going to review what we talked about and talk about some common errors that I found. Yeah, but right now I'm in the midst of grading. I'm really behind. A lot of things going on in life, right? So, hey, I get it. We're all doing our own things that we need to do, especially family stuff. So, so we're going to take a look at last week's assignment. So some of you have done it, and that's great. And I hope that you all do this. And you don't have to turn it in right away. This is going to be for the final grade, because assignments before week 8 where we'll be stuck on with the midterm. Or I don't know. I haven't figured it out. Maybe we can vote on it, or I will vote by myself. You're going to write a letter to your current self from your future self. So hopefully you guys all got this as an assignment. And yeah, this is something that I had to do in the Peace Corps. It was kind of flipped around, but whatever way you interpret it, I know it sounds fluffy and adorable, and it's about feelings and reflections, and some of you aren't about that, and others of you are really into it. And I got some really cool responses so far. And I think if you've done it, it's something that appeals to you, especially, somebody maybe who is more reflective. So I want everybody to do this. It's a good way to imagine a hopeful future. And so, yeah, basically, oh, there she is. That's my sister. She's moving. And she doesn't sit like that usually, but when she does sit, she opens up her big old journal and she writes. So in Peace Corps, when I was in Ethiopia, they asked us to do this many times. And basically, we had to write a letter to ourselves, and we would put it in an envelope, and we gave it to our boss on the Peace Corps. And they would give it back to us at the next big meeting, and you're supposed to read it and kind of just, it was a progress report thing, and it was kind of like, you wrote about how you were doing at the moment, what struggles you had, what projects you were working on, what things you were looking forward to doing in the future, and then when you read it, you're supposed to kind of check, hey, did I do those things? Did I improve in this? Or did I kind of get worse? I don't know. So this idea is, comes from that. But yeah, imagine a future self, and what I want you to do is to be hopeful, so that future self is in a better world. And yeah, write a letter to yourself and use the conventions of letter writing. Dear current Bob, dear coronavirus Bob, or whatever you want to say it, like, it can be funny, it can be it could be motivational, it could be anything you want it to be. But I also want you to realize the kind of state that you're in, and if you're going through something, talk about it. Like, your future self would be like, hey, I know you were struggling with this, Bob, and you were procrastinating and distracted by many other things in your life, as you tend to be when you're at home, and that's why you leave the country. But yeah, so my sister, loving sister of mine, I requested that she write a letter for me. And boy, did she write a letter. You know, you ask your sister to do something and then she just keeps going. So I'm just going to read this. It's pretty long, but maybe you'll get some inspiration from it. So Thursday, May 4th, 2023, dear Win. So my sister, I usually call her Nina. Nina is her family name, but she goes by her given name, which is Win. Sounds like my last name, Win, without that N. So yeah, this is your future self. I know that you've been struggling, and I wanted to write to you so you know that you are not alone. It might seem like you've been sitting in a car traveling on a windy mountain road for days. As I remember it, this is the point where you feel unsettled and nauseous because of the unfolding of the COVID-19 and what seems to be an abrupt pause to life. Well written. First, I want you to know that everything you are experiencing is valid and understandable. Believe me when I say there is no right way to react to a global pandemic that has caused the world to turn upside down. Okay, there's no right way to react. Brilliant. In the same vein as Ruth from the show New Girl, anybody watch that? Win's gonna do what Win's gonna do. I do hope that you are allowing yourself to acknowledge what is happening so that you can find a way through it instead of burying it like we have done in the past. So yeah, my sister, she likes to put things away and hide and run away from things. Not this time. Second, I want to ask you to take off your wind-colored glasses, the glasses that jump to worst-case scenarios and negative thinking. I want you to do an activity with me where you consider some different possibilities and wear a different pair of glasses. Will you do that for me? Great. This first pair is the hope-colored glasses. What is possible when you view the world through these lenses of hope? What hopes come to mind? How would that hope inspire you, and what actions would you take? Whatever you come up with, notice how you feel as you wear these glasses and have these ideas. I hope you feel less stuck and lighter. Okay, let's take off this pair and put them aside. Here's another pair. These are adventure-colored glasses. As you look through them, what is adventure? What adventures are showing up? If you were to have everything you need for these adventures, what would you allow yourself to explore? As you wonder, what do you notice in yourself? What's different as you look at your world with this pair? I hope that your world feels bigger and more open. It keeps going, guys. Now it's time to take these glasses off and try on our last pair, wholeness colored glasses. When you look around with these glasses, what do you see? What is whole that wasn't before? What are your moments like when they are viewed with wholeness? What does life feel like? I hope you feel complete. It is time to take off this last pair, including your original pair. You have 4 pairs of glasses to choose from. After trying on all these different glasses, which pair out of the 4 was the most exciting? Which pair allowed you to be who you are and who you want to be? Whichever pair it is, I encourage you to wear a different pair for the next week and notice how you feel and what you're like. You can continue to change glasses every week, try on new pairs, or stick to one as long as it benefits you in some way. Whatever you choose, I want you to know that you have the power to live your life even when things are uncertain or chaotic. There's a reason why you've been exposed to new ideas and people since 2020 began. And even though new things can be scary, so is living your life the same way you've been for the last 15 to 20 years, right? Uh, Living the way you have been hasn't given you what you want. Are you willing to try something else? I'm writing to you because you're at a crossroads. The longer you resist, the more you will veer off course. You will miss this fulfilling chapter that I am living in that includes endless possibility, joyful energy, and unconditional love. Isn't that what you want in life? If so, what are you waiting for? The best thing is you only have to wear a new pair of glasses. I love you exactly the way you are. You win. That's her full name. That D is actually a Y sound. So yeah, that was my sister. And this is my sister and me. So there you go. We are.
Cute.
Thanks. We are siblings. This was at a lunch that we'd had, like, I don't know, before I left for Turkey. So me and my sister and our glasses. That's why I include this picture, because you know, she's trying on some different glasses. That's her metaphor for, you know, how to kind of take on a different persona or a different personality, or, you know, it's not something she's not. You know, I think these are all things within us. And so that's her letter. Yeah, and it was great. It was long. Thanks for writing it. I really wanted her to read it for you, so I didn't have to read it. But she said, "No, I don't want to do that, Bob." And I really wanted her to write it on like a piece of paper so she could draw little pictures. But, you know, good job, student Nina. Hmm. That's my sister. Thanks, Nina. Thanks, Win. Doing graphics. All right, so that was your assignment. Make sure to write a positive letter to yourself. Um, Unless you just like are a drill sergeant in the army and you have to yell at yourself and say, "Hey, what are you doing? Wake up! Stop sleeping! Stop watching Netflix so much." Now I'm like, you know, in the future, I'm like overweight and I have back pain because of you. So get off. All right, yeah, and reflecting on negativity can sometimes be empowering, right? So it's good to acknowledge that we have these problems, and, you know, I would love to tell you all of my problems, but hey, I got to be a good role model in life, so I'm not going to do that. So we don't want to stay too long on the topic, though, as in like the negative topic, not this topic. We want to talk about writing forever. So yeah, Google Docs. Oh, okay. Why do my slides do that? Okay, let's look at my example of the cause and effect essay. So you wrote your essay, I wrote mine, and we'll see whose is better. It's not a competition, but, you know, I am the teacher, so I usually do win. So excuse me. So we're going to do a demonstration on Google Docs assignment from your midterm. So you're not going to go to Google Class Docs, but I am. So let me stop sharing this. See all your lovely faces, all four of you. Yeah, my classes are getting smaller. What's going on? Uh, does everyone just love the videos? Is that why they just love watching uh, me on YouTube? Maybe that's what it is. Okay, so this is my Google Classroom account that I'm a secret student in some of these classes. I don't interact on this, but we're going to go over to writing, which is over here. Yeah, this is kind of, I mean, if you've already turned it in, great, you know how this works, but some of you still have some issues, and those in 1B, you know, you're new to this. So, hey, we're doing this. And so, yeah, I'm going to click on the midterm, which I haven't done yet, you know, but there is no due dates. I'm not allowed to give deadlines, and I read all the wonderful instructions written by my teacher, blah, 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 so much detail. Bob, this is like an assignment on its own. It's just reading the assignment, right? And trying to figure out all of this, but, you know, gets you more practice, right? So the more input, the more we learn. So I read it, I say, oh gosh, okay, so I have to write it. I'm gonna click at the bottom here, and we're gonna go here. So some of you don't know how this works, but, you know, if you open up the Bob Win, everybody basically gets one of these Google Docs. It has your name magically, so I don't have to get all of these documents of Jenny Belge, blah, 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 or whatever, you know, like Untitled, that's my favorite, you know. This has your name on it. I can find it. I can search for it on my computer. Great. Some people can add an attachment if they want, you know, so some people made it on Word, and that's also fine because Google Docs is now pretty cool where I can open a Word document and it opens automatically in Google Docs, so I can save it on my Google Docs thing. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Google Docs that's listed right there. And right now I can't actually do anything with it. It's just kind of like a dead PDF. But if you click on that upper right corner, that arrow that points like that, that's where it's going to open up Google Docs. And here I have the template that my teachers created. I already put in my name and my student number and my class, which is writing 1Z. Woohoo. And I'm not going to type this all out for you because that's going to be boring, but we're just going to go through some of it slowly. And then we're going to go over some issues that I saw in the writing. So I'm going to do the magic of Google itself. I'm collaborating with myself. So you can see this little cursor, right? So my little ghostwriter is there. And I can add my entire my entire essay, right? Easy peasy. And yeah, this was not plagiarized. I didn't pay anybody to write this for me, uh, nor did I copy this directly from the from the essay. So there were some issues with plagiarism. So we got to talk about that because does your school have a policy? Does Kurova University have a policy about plagiarism? Anybody can tell me? Would love to know.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay. All I've heard is if I actually accuse a student of plagiarism to the school, that like stays on their record forever. And that's something terrible that I would never want to do without some kind of communication talk first. But yeah, most universities in America have a grading, a plagiarism policy. And I think in the future, I will talk about this a little bit more in depth before we get started and actually have you sign something that basically says if you plagiarize majorly, that you'll get a 0 on an assignment and a warning and a something, and maybe standing in front of the door for 30 minutes or something. I don't know, some kind of corporal punishment. But yeah, so this essay that I asked you to write, yeah, this wasn't my best assignment that I've created, but I felt like, yeah, you guys did a really good job. And I think, unlike what somebody said last week that we kept doing the same thing, this was actually a good opportunity for you from the beginning when you did the outline, when we read it in class, when we did the the quotations from direct to indirect. This is something I think that because you guys understood this article really well, most of you did a really good job. And one of the things I love about most of the papers that I've read so far, like 90% of them, 95% of them, is that you were able to use your own words, I think, because you understood this really well. And it's because we've stuck through this for how many weeks now on the same topic. But because of that, it's easier for you to get this idea out. And it's also a topic that you know very well, right? So you have a lot of background knowledge from before. That helps with writing. And then you have a lot of current knowledge based on being able to read like a document. So you guys did a really good job, and I would have to applaud all of you. But there were some issues, and yeah, let's just kind of go over quickly what I wrote. But yeah, this was my essay. The introduction is where you want to introduce the article. Okay, so whenever you're writing kind of these things, either it's a review about a research article, or it's like a critique of a research article, or if you're just getting information from it, you want to introduce who the author is. Okay, and one thing you want to avoid, and I agree with this for the most part, is you don't want to use gender pronouns. And so if the author is a man or a female, it doesn't matter. Try to use the author if you're referring to them with a pronoun. There is no pronoun that you'll use unless it's a they, which is like multiple authors, right? So Tukuzgutepe, you don't have to call her Miss. Somebody did that. It's okay. But yeah, there's no reason to do that. There's no formalities. In research, kind of just your last name is the only important thing, right? And even if you have a similar last name to someone else, they put that in the references. So if there's like 2 wins in the world and we both write a similar article and somebody does research on both of us, there's a way that you would put it. So it would be win, comma, B, period, right? So for Bob, if there's 2 Bobs, then I would have to add my initial middle name. And then if there's like a thing with that, then you would put something else. there's ways to get around it, right? So I'm not going to share this with everybody. I was going to originally just like let you all read this and kind of compare, because I want you to think about your own essay in comparison to something, that was written by your teacher, maybe. So I think having a good example after you write something, being able to see a really good example of something, whether it's actual research, right, or the work of somebody else, is a really important thing. A lot of times we call it peer review or peer editing, as a way for you to actually see good examples and also bad examples. Seeing bad examples actually really helps most students. And it's hard for me right now because, yeah, I mean, this is my first year teaching writing at a university, and I don't have these documents. It's first time teaching at Çukurova University in a Turkish setting. So, hopefully, if there is a next year for me, this will be much easier, and I'll have a lot of great examples, and your writing will be used without your knowledge. I mean, basically, by being in my class, you're giving me full rights to your writing. I'm not going to sell them on Google or anything like that, but these are things that we'll be doing. So yeah, in my introduction, yeah, I mentioned what the article is. I mentioned what the topic is. So in Tokka's Göktepe's article, the author focuses on speaking problems of ninth grade students at a Turkish high school, 2013, right? So this is kind of important right here. You actually have to add the year afterwards. Oh, which one am I sharing? Ooh, I'm sharing the one on my iPad still. Woohoo. Is that right? What am I sharing? Oh my God, I'm so confused. Oh yeah, iPad. Great. Yeah, so I can move my iPad. And yeah, and the two, let's see. So here, let me go back to my other screen so I can highlight. In this essay, the speaking problem will be discussed as well as two causes. So that's my thesis statement. Most of you guys did a really good job with thesis statements. And, we haven't really talked too much about thesis statements. And in 1B, I never talked to you about thesis statements. So I don't really know. But yeah, your thesis statement can be here. Somebody wrote it in the next paragraph, which I think is also fine. It depends on how you structure it. So if you're talking about like the article first, and then you actually talk about speaking problems at a Turkish school, wonderful, keep going with it. But yeah, what I asked you to do, and most of you did a really good job. Some of you were not so consistent with this, but most of you were able to give me a quote from the author herself, and then you also gave an interview. And I didn't care where that interview came from. It could have been you just talking to one of your classmates, but it actually was very powerful reading what you wrote than what she wrote as the author, and then who your interviewer was. And if you read, or your interviewee, and if you read like your article, or if you share with each other and just kind of look at each other's, and do that. If you have a friend in the class, share your writing. Don't feel like it's a personal attack, or don't attack somebody for, oh, like you just spelled this wrong. But it's a great way for you to kind of see good examples of things, and even bad examples, and helping each other. Hey, you could have done this. But yeah, for the most part, like if you did all of those three things within the body, and had a concluding paragraph or sentence, then you basically did a really good job on the thing. But for some reason, somebody, most of you did, you put the article in the first two, and the interview and the second one. And so you kind of miss points. And that was generally made the grading scale pretty easy. So when you actually do get your paper, and some of you might have already gotten feedback on your writing, but on the Google Docs itself, you're gonna get like this kind of a feedback. So let me show you what it would look like if I was gonna do these suggestions, right? So, if I didn't like something, if I changed it, the speaking, is this working? Then you would see it like that, right? And that's a suggestion. And basically, when I click on it, I can accept that. So don't reject it, okay? I'm giving you some feedback, usually spelling errors, grammatical errors. And if they're actually, I'm going to undo this so I don't mess up this paper right now. And yeah, and sometimes I just add comments. And for me, adding a comment goes like this. I write something, hello. Um, and then, so there you would see this kind of turn yellow. And I wrote a comment, and it wouldn't just be hello. It would just kind of give you an idea like, hey, remember to add this, remember to use the year when you're writing about this author. I included just interviewee to 2020. That's just what you would do. If you didn't do that, that's fine. Most of you didn't. You don't have to. And you're actually supposed to put a name. Anonymous interviewees are not like the best way to get credibility, a good reputation, but that's fine. I didn't need you to ask, to include someone's name. Somebody did, and that's fine. And that's like, if your friend is willing to do it, you can do that. We're not going to go over all of it, but we're going to take a little quiz right now. So if you guys are online, wonderful. Oh, I didn't include the second reference. Where'd it go? Anyways, so yeah, this would be the paper. Let me send it out after I finish grading everybody's things, and you can see and compare essays. And I'll try to do that as soon as I can, but let's get out of here and get back to our thingamabobber. Then I have to jump around a lot more. So there's my sister. All right. So we were just in Google Docs. We did a little demonstration. Hopefully that's recorded so everybody can see how that goes. Yeah, there were some common issues with punctuation, and that would be mainly with things like quotations. So let's go over some by using a Google form quiz. Okay, does everybody know Google Forms? You've had to use this for, the department probably has asked you to fill out this form after the whole asking about internet and things like that. So one of the RAs, the research assistants, had to send that out. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna send you, you're gonna have to check Google Classroom, okay? I'm gonna send you an assignment. This is this week's assignment. It's a short little quiz. You're not gonna be graded on how many you get right. Don't worry about that. I'm just gonna give you credit for doing it, okay? So fail, it's great. Make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, okay? I'm gonna click this right now, okay? And as I click this, you're seeing this from the teacher side. How cool is that, right? You have only gotten to see things from your student side, but now I've created this. So if you're on your phones, go ahead, open up those phones and click on that link, okay? I'm gonna do it myself because I am a student as well in this wonderful classroom. And let's work through it together quickly. Okay, so yeah, I'm in my Google class. I finished my essay, wonderful, good job, Bob. And then this is writing still. So sometimes you gotta update, right, your assignments, okay? And yeah, week 11, there's a quiz. If I was in my stream, I would see that right there. Boom, new assignment, Writing2, week 11, quiz about common research. Let's hope this works, guys, because I've never done this before, and I don't know why I'm scratching my head like this. But so this is worth 2 points. This is your assignment this week. If you're here right now and you finish this, you're done. If you're not here and you're watching this video, go ahead and do this. I'm not going to give you the answers yet. You're going to find out on your own. So these are some issues that I found with the research papers stuff, like citations, using authors' names. And really, I don't think I've taught you as much as I should have about all these things, and we're going to go over what these mean. There's things called parenthetical citations and then narrative citations. And so if you don't know the answer, go ahead, give it a good guess, give it like an educated guess. There's only 6 questions, but I want you to choose the correct sentence. The first one, you're just going to choose how you state the author's name in a research paper. Okay? The best way, sorry. the best way for number one? I'm going to change that question. And yeah, and go through it 1 through 6. And when you're done, press submit. It will tell you the correct answer. These are just multiple choice. And what I want you to be able to do after this is look at the examples. I'm not going to give the answers because if I do this, somebody will see the answers. But we'll go over them somehow. Don't worry. I got you. I got you. So I'll give you a few minutes as time slowly runs out. And if you're finished, give me a thumbs up, a hand raise, a shriek, scream, something. I don't know. I'll stop bothering you. I'm gonna mute myself.
I cannot hear you.
Sorry. So yeah, good job finishing. Everybody else, did you?
Actually, it's not a good job.
No? Well,
No, it's not a good job.
Then it's a bad job by your teacher actually not informing you of all these things. So there's a lot of things that, that
Half of it is true.
half of it is okay. So the goal really always is with these is that, this is probably new knowledge for most of you. So go back and look at the ones you made mistakes on. This is a type of formative assessment where we're kind of learning through the test. So assessing to learn, assessment to learn. Okay, so we're using this as a way for you to know the answers. And so next time you got it. And I'm going to be sending you some PDFs, different ones that have more information on this. This is something I really don't want to teach in class because it's something that you need to learn on your own and kind of incorporate while you're writing, which means that, yeah.
Sorry, but I did all these mistakes in my writing essay. And is it a big problem for me?
No, it's not a big problem. No. I mean,
Okay.
seriously, I didn't really minus anybody for grammar or form. It just wasn't something I wanted to do. And unless it was like really like, punch you, like hurt my stomach, I basically only minus that 1 point or 2 points if it's so difficult to understand, right? And I know, yeah, I mean, there are these common problems that I've been seeing, and yeah, we have to address them. So like, for example, number 4, right? The one where the author said and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to give away the answer, but a lot of you put those 2 dots. Sorry, I gave the answer. The wrong answer, right? So I saw that a lot. A lot of students use the author said and then colon. Okay, that is not the norm. I don't know is that the norm in Turkey to do that? Have you?
No.
Okay, did you do that?
No, I didn't do that in my essay because while I'm writing my essay, I learned this.
Okay, good. So
I searched about it and I learned this, and right now this is correct.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So that's one of the things you need to do. I mean, as a writer, I still do this to this day when I write. Sometimes I forget something. I have to Google, quotation marks, blah, blah, blah. Right. So it's something that, there are these weird rules. I get it. It's hard to memorize them. And unless you write them all the time, you're just going to forget like anything that you learn. If you don't use it, like speaking English, you're going to forget it. Okay. So, I don't want to go over the answers, but is there something that you were not sure about before that now you know? What's one of the things that you got wrong, that you made a mistake that you're afraid that I'm going to take off a point for? Which number?
5th one.
The 5th one. Okay, so this is common.
Really, I didn't even know that there's something like that.
Yeah, so I keep seeing this, right? So Yeah, when it's actually the verb have, like to hold something, to own something, then yeah, when you make that negative, you have to put the do not have, right? Just like I do not eat jellyfish for breakfast. Uh, I do not sleep on the roof, right? It's the same thing. So this have is the verb, right? And most of you, a lot of my students from Turkey to Ethiopia to Japan, they all do this, right? They forget that have in the first choice, which is the wrong choice, um, is actually the have in the present perfect.
But I don't know, but this is not correct as I think, because
Oh, number two. Sorry.
I choose the fifth question. I choose the last thing. They do not have an opportunity.
Wait. They do. Oh my God! Did I make a mistake?
And it says that is not correct.
Oh God. Well, your teacher. What is wrong with him? So good. That's why we're doing. Wait, really, Bob? You forgot English? You haven't been using it. This is. Oh. Oh my God. You're right. Oh my God. Your teacher. Is any. Oh my God. Oh my God. What a numbskull. Give yourself a point. Oh
Okay.
man. They do have not. Oh my gosh. Who am I? Let me double check. I just made this. Okay, that's right. Yep, that one's good. This one is also good. And yeah, perfect. The best choice. Yes. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. So if you got that wrong by accident and you chose the right answer, then that has now been corrected, and everybody else can thank Tuche for her hard work. Thank you so much. And that will never happen again, except tomorrow, when it will happen again. Don't worry. Okay, so yeah, finish that. That's your homework if you didn't do that. To all of my sleeping students who can't wake up at 9:15. Somebody said in their letter to themselves, their future self to them current self, said, you know, in the future, don't complain about morning classes, because at least you have morning classes, and you can see each other at 9:15 or 8:15 or whatever time your teacher decides to have a class. So yeah, don't complain about morning classes, because in the future there are morning classes again, and you get to see each other. You get to actually be in a classroom. All right. So yeah, we're out of time as usual. And I'm just going to go through this quickly. So these are what we call parenthetical citations. And you can look at this slide more. I'll send out the PDF. I realize PDFs are easier for most of you to look at than the PowerPoints themselves. But so if you never mention the author's name in the quotation, then you have to put their last name, comma, and the year in parentheses, right? This other one we don't really do. Uh, the narrative one, when you actually use the author and you say, blah, blah, blah said this, right? If you mention their name and you don't mention the year, then you have to put the year in parentheses, right? So as a reader, I know what you're talking about. I know who the author is, I know who the year is, right? There's a rare chance in that second case, in 2016, Coiler noted the dangers of falsely balanced news coverage, right? In that one, it's stated in the narrative, right? In the actual writing of the student, what those two things are, the year and the author's name, which are the important things to do when you're doing citations. So you don't have to actually write anything in parentheses, right? So if you mentioned like that, Toko's Tepe stated that students did this, then you would have to put 2013, okay, not 2014, because that was the year of the publishing, but the year of the article was 2013. That's at the very bottom. Not 2019. I don't know, somebody put 2019. So, and sorry. So yeah, if you mention the author's name, then you would have to put the year next to them in that, because authors write more than one articles. And so a lot of famous authors, if you quote them in different writings, there'll be like, when 2020, when 2018, depending on when I published an article. And that's why we have to put the year, because there's a difference. And sometimes when somebody publishes the same thing or two different articles in the same year, so 2013, they would have to put 2013A and then 2013B. You don't need to know all that, but just be aware that stuff like that exists. And why we do that is because as a reader and as somebody who's going to go and actually read it and verify that this information is correct, right? This is why we do research, to verify and to verify each other. Is that I can look at that article and I know which one you're referring to. There's no ambiguity, there's no confusion. It's the 2013 A, right? So in the references, it'll be listed that way, and I'll be able to find out, and I'll be able to read that and then to prove that you're right or you're wrong. Okay. Yeah, for the final, I finally decided that we're going to do a writing cause and effect essay again. So yeah, I basically don't have enough time because we've lost time due to coronavirus and not being actually in the same classroom. I think it'd be really hard to move on to argumentative, which I think is probably the most important thing that you need to learn to write. But second most important thing would be cause and effect. And this is probably what you're going to be writing the most about anyways, stating something, listing the effects and the causes, and possibly giving a solution, right? So it doesn't make sense to waste, we don't have enough time to go to argumentative. So it's going to have a similar format as the midterm. The thing that you're going to have to do is you're actually going to have to find some articles for me, because I'm not going to do all the work this time. And so we're going to go over that a little bit more next week, but you're going to be tasked with finding a research article as a class. Okay, so it's not going to be that you're going to find your own. You're going to find a bunch that we can all use together. Okay, and there's plenty of articles. I kind of want you to focus on Turkey still, because it's a context that you're really aware of, and you don't have to you don't need to have the knowledge of another culture to be able to understand it, right? And there's plenty of articles out there that talk about listening problems, about writing problems, but you can't use this research paper that we used about speaking problems. You can talk about speaking again, it's just not with the same article, okay? We will have a few to choose from. You will do an outline of the research paper again, so that Google Docs where you have to fill in the participants, the results, things like that. And that's my way of knowing that you understand this. This is also easier for you when I want you to be able to do the outline and include actual quotes that you can use. Okay, so a lot of you use quotes and you use them pretty long quotes aren't always good. It's better to paraphrase. We talked about paraphrasing last week, and paraphrasing is nice because it allows you to kind of fit the quote in without having to just have a quote and then explain it. You can explain what she says and also give your idea in the same sentence. So you don't have to actually have two huge sentences to explain the quotation that you're going to be using. Okay, then you will write a cause and effect essay, and it would be similar format, 3 body paragraphs. This time you don't have to talk about the effects so much. You can talk about 3 different causes. It's kind of going to be up to you how you do this, but it's going to be the same format. So if you got it wrong this time, great. You're learning from your mistake, and you're going to get a perfect cause and effect essay this time. But same thing, you're going to explain something with the topic sentence. You're going to have the author's quote in there. You're going to also do this kind of an interview thing with somebody again, and then you're going to conclude it. Okay, don't ever end on a quotation. Don't end on your interviewee saying something, because that means that's a weak ending. It basically, you're giving the mic to somebody else and you're telling them to talk for you. You don't want to do that in writing. You don't want to do that in speaking. So yeah, make sure that when you conclude your sentence or your paragraph, it doesn't end on a quotation. That's a really bad sign. And it means that you didn't write a concluding sentence. You didn't summarize or restate your topic sentence. Yeah, so we'll be starting this researching thing next week. We'll look at ways to do research. Hopefully I'll be prepared by then. Hopefully I'll have graded everything. So yeah, conclusion, any questions, comments, suggestions? Speak up now or forever hold your truth. That's what I have to say. And thank you to Slides Go for this wonderful template. Thank you. And I'm finished. I'm 7 minutes over. I'll give you back 7 minutes of your life when coronavirus is over. Don't worry. Any questions? Cool. Anybody want to chime in on anything? Any new things in life? It's midnight and 7 minutes. And I have to wake up for speaking. So if you're in my speaking class, please come, because I don't know why no one's coming to my classes. And if you're not in my speaking class,
no one is coming.
Well, I mean, somebody did last time, but it was like late, and so by then I was like, oh, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna go back to sleep, and I did. No, 6:30, and then it became 7. I think 7 something. Did I send out the wrong link? I don't know. Denise, jump in here. I can't hear you.
I don't want to say about this anything because I was there and you weren't.
Oh, but what time was it at?
Between 4:30 and 5.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did I send out the wrong link?
I guess you start the meeting and then go back to the sleep.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was sitting there and I just was like, oh my God, I'm so tired and no one's here. Sorry, no. That's fine. I mean, maybe I sent the wrong.
See today we will see. I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, 5 o'clock now. Okay, so it'll give me at least 6 hours to sleep. I hope 6 hours is enough. Monday and Tuesdays are killer for me. So yeah, I'm slowly dying over here. So bear with me, especially in the morning. And then I usually can't go back to sleep, but because I didn't teach, I was able to. Usually when I'm teaching, I'm just like too much energy. Sorry, excuse me. And that's why it's really hard for me to sleep after this, because I'm just like so much energy after classes. What is wrong with your teacher? All right.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Probably it's just falling apart. Yeah. I'm so class is over. You can leave if you want, but I'm waiting for a flight from Turkish Airlines to open up that goes from LA to Istanbul. And once that's open, that's when I'm gonna try to go back. And I hope it's like at a good time, maybe right after, no, gosh, hopefully before finals so that I can actually be in the same place. Great. But yeah, I was a little worried about the timing of this all. But yeah, so going back to what you said before, Tuche, this idea. Oh, so I don't know if I have a program next year. I'm hoping there is.
It will be.
Yeah, I'm hoping there is. I'm not trying to look for a job right now because I can't really do this job that I have right now, the job that I have with my family of just supporting and being supported. And look for anything other than, other than research for you to read. So that's the only task that I can actually mentally and emotionally do at this moment. So yeah. Anyways, anything new? Hello, have you been exercising? She turned in her assignment. Good job. She's sleeping now, see? Like I should be doing. All right, so yeah, thank you very much. I'll send this out. Thank you for my correction on my terrible quiz. And everybody else should get that right now. So thank you. All right.
Bye. Thank you too.
Right.
Bye. Good night to you.
Bye. End the meeting, unless you guys want to stay and talk to each other. Bye.